Good morning everyone, and this morning I had a delivery of some Sikaflex. This is the stuff, Sikaflex 221, which is a adhesive sealant. I've used this on pretty much every car I've ever had, and it's good stuff. Just apply it with a caulking gun. I've gone over all the welds that I've done, basically because, as I said before, welding thin metal, rusty metal upside down in an awkward place, blah blah blah, you're never going to make a waterproof weld. So go over it with the seam sealer, and that makes sure that no water can get in where you've welded, and also neatens up the job, seals it all off. So once that's dry, that can be over paintable. And again, I've mentioned many times the layers that will go over that, and that will all blend in, and you won't even know that it's been repaired much. And I've done the bottom edge. I haven't done the sort of the front face because that is obviously a little bit more visible, and that's going to have silver paint on there. So I've just done the bottom edge and the box section piece underneath, and the hole in the floor, and I also did the underside of the hole in the floor as well, just to give it a little bit of extra protection. So today's job is to try and make some headway on the mess that is yes, I've done some more poking, and that bit that I said might be okay is not. Then I found another hole there, and obviously we've got that disastrous great big hole up the back there. What you have is you have the outer skin, then you have this inner skin. You've got an inner skin which is joint to this bit, which joins everything together, and there's a seam line there, and that's why it's gone through. And so I'm going to cut away and see what I've basically left with, and then start piecing cardboard templates together and seeing what we can do. I think before I do all of that, I'm just going to wire brush off this under sealant and see if I can discover any more holes, because I reckon most of this inner wheel arch is probably shot, but we shall see. The wire wheel will get all of that off, and we can actually see what we're working with. So I'm going to crack on and do that, and I'll bring you back when I've got some progress. Carnage. Look at the mess on the floor. Right, I've wire wheeled it with the old Angry Beasts, and it gives you a much clearer view of what's going on. Let's get some light on there. It makes it a lot less daunting because you can see, good metal, and you can see bad metal, and actually a lot of it is actually quite good. It looks like I'm not sure if I can do this without the light getting in the way. There's a seam joint here, and it goes onto this big bit here and goes up. It's like an infill piece, and it looks like most of that has gone. Then you've got that seam continues all the way around, and this bit overlaps and that bit overlaps. There's a hole there and a hole there, so this inner bit here has gone. The rest of it is fine, apart from obviously when you get to the back. I'm probably going to have to pull the bumper off and the plastic trim there. Obviously the bottom of the seal we know about, and where that all joins together down there is mush. Looking inside the wheel arch, if we can, actually the inner skin, until you get to where that hole is up there, the inner skin is actually okay. So even up where that horrible bubbly section is, the inside of that, the inner skin is fine. So it's just the outer skin, and the same applies to these bubbles here. Behind, let's try and get in there with the light as well. The inner skin is fine. So I'm not tackling these in this session because they're not MOT failures, they're just aesthetics really. So what I'm doing is it's structural stuff, you know, the seal and things, you know, around shock absorbers and things like that to get it for an MOT. And also because this is, you know, a couple of weeks worth of work, it gets me good at my welding skills. So it's good to practice on less conspicuous things, and then hopefully after I've done this side and the other side and any other bits and bobs, I should be getting slightly better at general welding and things like that. I mean, I've done a bit over the years, but never a big long stint like this. I've, you know, just done a bit here and a bit there. And previously I had a crap welder, and I've gone and got myself a slightly better welder. It's the MiG 180 by Artec, and so far that is making life so much easier to weld with than the crappy Clark thing that I had that was horrid, with the disposable bottles, and it was a nightmare. So yeah, once all of this is done, and you know, maybe next year we'll tackle doing some nice bodywork stuff, you know, just to tidy that up. Right, I've done lots of cutting and poking, and we've got ourselves all sorts of problems. Basically this was a sort of a giant meeting point of, like, you know, 2 or 3 different panels, and that had basically completely rotted out. This is the mounting point for the rear axle, rear beam, and around the other side where it all bolts onto this chassis leg is fine, and the chassis leg itself is fine. However, there's a little bit of blowout here, but this is double skinned anyway because it is a chassis leg. So just the front skin's got a little bit of blowout, which is not a major issue, just plating that is fine. And then it comes in and it joins this piece here, which joins this piece here, which goes in and is like an entire inner skin. It's all, I mean, God knows how they make modern cars. They're all many layers of skins, but because this, you've got the outer skin of the bodywork, then you've got the inner wheel arch, and those two, I don't know if you can see, if I poke this, if you look in here, basically when I moved the inner skin, this inner skin was never originally attached to this bit, but this bit goes in and runs like almost an identical inner skin to what you see on the outside. I say it's made up of many kind of like layers of skins and panels and bits welded in, and they all sort of tie in together and create, you know, the monocoque rigidity. So I've cut quite a large section. Hang on. I cut this section off. One, because it's cheese, and 2, it allowed better access in here to grind that really thick rubberized sealant off, because I want to try and see what that joins like there, which I know it's terrible, but I need to try and separate it from there, because I'm going to cut this panel out. This panel is good, we've cut back to good metal apart from down the bottom. This inner one is crap, so we're going to cut that out. and then I think we're going to make a new panel. It might not be as curvy, or you know, it's got a slight curve to it, so it might be just straight that goes across and basically braces between this panel and the chassis leg, so that tie that together, and then we'll run a bead that joins the two together there. Then we'll replace this missing section here, which is just a skin that joins this to this, and we'll put a plate over here. We'll grind this out and put a plate over this bit on the chassis leg, and that little bit of rot up there, I cut all of that out because that was basically the extent of it, and I took it right up to this seam line here so we can weld a plate in there, and I'll clean it up from the inside. The main thing is that you've got to still tie everything together, because that's how they're designed to be strong, because obviously it's monocoque and basically means that all of the many bits make one entire structural strong thing, which is a bit of a strange, clever concept, but a bit strange, but it's what everything is. So as long as we tie everything together and we use good metal against welding onto good metal, it should all be fine. Right, I've got some cardboard sculpted. I think there's about 4 or 5 bits in there. Basically, the idea is that this piece here lips up onto this original metal lip. This piece lips up onto the original metal lip, so it's literally as it used to be, so it ties all 3 bits together. And then I've overlapped at the top, so all those bits all tie into each other and to the original metal. This is like the little plate that just covers that blow through on there, and that's the major hole. And then I've cut it, I had to cut a little bit of rust out of there, which was, yeah, it's that bit there like that. And I've cut it short there because I still need to do this, the sill section, and I need to put another plate in here, but it's already getting quite complicated in shape, so I shall stop there with the cardboard creation, transfer that onto metal, and then I'll tack weld it into place, and then I'll probably continue to make the other parts and tack weld those into place as well. And then once I'm happy with it, if I need to make any adjustments I will, and then I'll run a bead all the way around and weld it in properly. So I'll bring you back when I've got some metal in there. Right, I've completed the task. I didn't bother filming, just, you know, spot welding it in. I just got so sort of into the zone with it, and just cracked on and got it done. And it's a combination of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. It's quite a bit of cutting and bending and sculpting, and because it doesn't really show on camera, but it's really silly angles. But this is a section, this is a section, and those two all join onto 2 other original sections as it originally was, albeit slightly shorter, but everything's tied together. This is the patch that you know, just had there was a couple of little blow throughs on the first skin of the leg. This is the main patch that covered the sort of rot hole through into the boot. This is a patch that covered all the rot on this inner wheel arch here. I've left it short because I'm still yet to do the bottom, and I'm not sure. I could have gone down and sculpted it like a curve to match, but until I get this bit out, it was easier just to cut it short and do it as another separate piece. And there was a little tiny, really awkward bit that ties it all together, and you can see on a lot of the bits I had to cut sort of reliefs in so that I could get the bends and everything, but I'm really happy with the results. My welding's getting slightly better. I haven't ground these down yet. I may or may not ground them down, I don't know. Had had a delivery today as well, which aided so much today, and that was a new helmet from Artec, and this is a True Vision HD. So you get absolutely, well, you can see crystal clear vision, which makes welding so much easier. The old helmet I was using was just, it's past its best. So that's probably why my welds have slightly improved, because I could actually see what I was doing. So that's the rear section done. I've still got to do the crispy hole up there at the back. I'm going to take the bumper off and attack all that bit. And we've got to do a patch for the sill, so I'll probably do the sill bit next and then tackle the rear. And like I say, we're leaving the outer skin stuff for now, just because that's cosmetic, not MOT failure. So I'm going to call it a day, because believe it or not, this took pretty much all day. So my back's aching. I'm going to give it a rest and carry on tomorrow morning. Okay, I've got the worst bit cut out the sill. That was this crispy bit. And I've also took out, there was a really crap bit just down the bottom that I needed to do as well, because it's all around that suspension mount. So I've been playing with cardboard again and transferred it to metal, and got this interestingly shaped piece which goes in there like so, with a little bit of tapping and fettling and whatnot, and that will tie into the bit above it, the actual reinforced mount for the suspension point, and onto this sort of pinch section here, which the seam will all tie into as well. So getting there. And then there'll be an end cap to do as well, and then that section's done. So I'm now going to make a cardboard template for the sill, and I may then also make one for the end. We'll see how we go. Okay, we're getting there. I've got that bottom piece all tied in. And the sill bit's done as well. Just the end cap to do, but before I do that, I'm going to spray some stuff in there, and I think we're getting there after replacing most of the car. It was a bit more than I anticipated when I originally, poked around at it. I thought, oh, just the end of the sill, maybe the bottom of the sill. I didn't expect to be doing all of this, especially right in here. This was, I mean, there's so, you can't really see it on camera, but this bit's got a curve like that way, and then it's got a curve that way, and yeah. Hey guys, it's the next day, and I have removed the rear bumper and finished off doing the welding on the other bit. So we can get a better look now at the carnage that is the hole at the back of the inner wheel arch lining. I'll take you around the back. I have to bring the light with me, so bear with me. Let's put the light there. Not too bad at the back, some little surface corrosion bits and bobs. I've never known a car to be made of such thin metal. Might have had a little knock at some point in its life. Some of the bumper screws weren't original, so it's been off before, so someone's been there. It has got a reverse parking sensor kit fitted, so whether the bumper was off for that or whether, you know, it's had a shunt at the back. Looking by this crease line here and not over that side, I would say it has done. Only a light one. The boot floor's not all creased up, so this is the back side of the problem that we've got at the front. So I'm going to start poking and see how big a holes I can create. And there's a similar problem on the passenger side, but I'll get into that at a later date. We're just concentrating on the driver's side. You can also see I finished off doing a little end cap for the sill, welded that in. There's 2 holes I've made for access for putting the underbody protection and cavity wax and things like that in there. So seam sealed all of my welds. That will get a coat of the rust encapsulator next. And at the front, that's been seam sealed and then had 2 coats of the rust encapsulator. So eventually I'm going to do all of the inner wheel arches and the floor pan, etc. But I'm just protecting the bare metal that I've done for now. So the outside, I'm just going to spray that with some zinc primer, because this is going to be done slightly differently to this is going to be sort of more bodywork stuff, so primer and top coat and lacquer, that sort of thing. So I shall bring you back once I've started poking massive holes in the already massive holes. Well, it's been a long day, it's getting dark. The Copen is slowly getting there. I didn't film any template making or tack welding bits in, I just cracked on and got it done. So what we did is put a big panel in the back, because it was a relatively flat panel, and then I made the side panel, and I used the old bit as a template guide so I could mark where the little tab goes that holds the bumper on, and that's sort of folded round and welded on. The back panel's welded on this side as well. Nice strong corner, and welded inside as well. And I made this panel which ties everything in that was rotten there, and then I made this panel and that ties everything in that was rotten there. So I'm happy with the welding. Not going to win any prizes for looks, but that's not what it's about. So I'm going to call it a day now, as it's getting pretty dark out there. And I'd basically say that this side is done. Driver's side completely done. Also that I'm leaving because that's not an MOT failure. Structural stuff around suspension components is, so that's why that all got done. Just got to seam seal it, and then I've got to put some rust encapsulator on this once that seam sealer's dry, which it probably is. I didn't paint it earlier because I knew that I was doing all of that over there, and that would cause a load of dust that would sit on the paint. So now I've finished welding, grinding and all sorts, I can get that all painted, and then we shall turn the car around and start on the other side. So that's it for today, guys. And I shall bring you back when we start on the other side. See you later.